If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain how I found out about this. It's free. It's on your app store. There's a creation tool that allows you to record and edit your podcast right now from your phone or computer. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Please, I urge you, don't waste another minute. I wasted 3 years. I attended all kinds of events to learn all the steps. I was so confused, and it was right here. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Do it now. It's a Whacky Wednesday, March 4, 2020. I'm Sabah Fakuri for the Heart and Home podcast. The death toll from the coronavirus Tuesday climbed to 9 in the United States, all in Washington state. Meanwhile, Amazon and Microsoft turned events for International Women's Day later this week into online meetings. Washington accounts for 27 of the 117 known infectious diseases across 25 states in our country. In New York City, where a second case of the coronavirus was confirmed, subways, buses, and vehicles will now be sanitized every 72 hours, and surfaces for ticket machines and handrails will be disinfected daily. Meanwhile, the Dow Jones fell nearly 800 points despite the Fed's rate cut. In Tennessee, the death toll from Tuesday night's tornadoes is up to 24 people, including several children. The destruction of buildings jumped by 100 to 140 from the violent storms that ripped through that state, where President Trump will travel on Friday to examine the damage. The tornado east of Nashville had winds of up to about 160 miles per hour. In other news, Bernie Sanders was Super Tuesday's big winner in California, his home state of Vermont, as well as Utah and Colorado. But Senator Bernie Sanders told supporters in Vermont that despite the odds, he would win the Democratic nomination for president. Joe Biden won big in Texas, Oklahoma, Minnesota, Virginia, Alabama, North Carolina, Tennessee, and Arkansas. With only 80% of the votes counted across the country, Biden may also win Maine. Former New York Mayor Mike Bloomberg won America Samoa, which only gave him 4 delegates. It was a disastrous Super Tuesday for Elizabeth Warren, who won no states, losing in her own home state of Massachusetts, where she finished a distant third. Interestingly, Biden didn't even go to Massachusetts nor run any television ads. It's weird. A poll last week placed him at 9% in 5th place, indicating how predictions are sometimes way off. Elizabeth Warren was in Detroit last night, and during her campaign speech, she said, quote, "Predictions are a terrible business. Pundits have gotten it wrong over and over." She warned voters in Detroit, "Cast a vote that will make you proud. Vote from your heart and vote for the person who you think will make the best president of the United States." Obviously, they think she is not. Meanwhile, President Trump went on the attack and tweeted, quote, "The biggest loser tonight, by far, is Mini Mike Bloomberg. His political consultants took him for a ride. $700 million washed down the drain, and he got nothing for it but the nickname Mini Mike and the complete destruction of his reputation. Way to go, Mike!" Exclamation point. Then he goes on the offensive not much later, saying Elizabeth Pocahontas Warren, other than Minnie Mike, was the loser of the night. She didn't even come close to winning her home state of Massachusetts. Well, now she can just sit back with her husband and have a nice cold beer. Thank you, Mr. Trump. Now, I wanted to get back to the coronavirus just for a moment. Globally, the coronavirus has infected 90,000 people and killed close to 3,000. Interestingly, very few children have gotten it. In China, where the outbreak started, only 2% of children were struck with COVID-19, according to a World Health Organization and China Joint Mission report. Only 9 newborns were hospitalized last month, and none had severe complications or required intensive care. So, what's going on? Because experts say that normal coronaviruses affect children and adults equally, but this new virus has hit adults only. It is thought the reason is an older person's immune system is weaker than a child's, which could contribute to their inability to fight off the virus. The same pattern shows up with chickenpox, which normally affects adults more severely than children, whose immune systems are used to being assaulted. SARS and the MERS both were relatively uncommon among children as well, according to the Centers for Disease Control. It's still a mystery as to why some people get mild or no symptoms and some people get really sick. And again, another warning. This morning, kids and parents are being told about a skull breaker challenge on the social media site TikTok. This after a 13-year-old Cherry Hill, New Jersey boy was hospitalized after suffering from a concussion and seizures from hitting his head after his friends pranked him by kicking his legs out from under him. TikTok says it removes any content that encourages violence, and most TikTok videos tagged with hashtag Skullbreakers Challenge are now warning against the craze. Here's one such message from South Africa.
Hi guys, so I don't know if you guys are aware of this new ongoing trend challenge, the Skullbreaker Challenge. Looks like this. So there's 2 people at the sides tricking the person in the middle to jump after they have jumped. Once that person is in the air, they kick their feet from underneath them. So that person in the middle can get seriously injured once they fall on the floor, hit their head, and people don't see how serious this actually is. Allegedly, there has been cases where people have died being the victim of this challenge, and I just kind of want to spread awareness for this to stop. And I know for a fact people do this, kids do this, because there's kids at my brother's school who actually attempted this challenge. So basically in this, I just want to ask you guys to please share this, spread awareness, make your own video, and let this challenge stop.
For the Heart and Home podcast, I'm Sabah Fakuri. Thank you for listening. Please share this with anyone that might be interested in it, and I will talk to you tomorrow.